So I'm going to leave some space here for some pictures. I want to actually go through some of the polls, okay? So let's check out the polls. There's only been one poll. This runswitchpr.com. It's the Harper's poll. Harper's is the only thing I remember about it. But anyways, it's the only major poll that's been conducted so far for the Kentucky's governor's race. And it's a very detailed, carefully studied, very meticulous methodology. So it's a good sample size. Like 250 Kentuckians were polled. And this is fascinating, okay? These numbers are fascinating. So look at Attorney General Jack Conway. He has very good, very favorable ratings, somewhat favorable, which means it's in the positive direction. So that's what, about 40 plus 30 is almost 70%, 66% of Kentucky's population thinks of Jack Conway in a positive light. 66. So that's the majority. That's most Kentuckians. So he's well known. Only 14% of the people didn't know him, and then his unfavorable ratings aren't that bad. They seem to be somewhat manageable. 21% of Kentuckians, hate him. They don't like him. So 21% hate him, 66% love him, and then 14% don't know anything about him. So that's just a simple breakdown of how that sort of breaks. The poll breaks down for Jack Conway. Now, retired engineer Jeff Young. Okay, these numbers they're fascinating, okay? The Republicans all agree on many things. They agree on school choice, though the specifics of that remain to be seen, whether it's vouchers or charter schools and how those vouchers and charter schools will be distributed. They also agree on casinos, so-called right to work.
We need to look at labor laws as it relates to things from prevailing wage to right to work legislation. No question about that. We've got to look at education and the fact that we're one of only 8 states that does not allow school choice. Unacceptable.
Business, I'm a big proponent of right to work. And I will also fight to protect the mortgage interest rate deduction. Those are 2 issues that I know are very important to everyone in here.
Even the fact that we still have the death tax like we do in this state is insane.
When he says income taxes will decrease. When Hal Heiner says we have to reduce the personal income tax rate. When Mr. Comer says Tennessee has no income tax, we should aim for that. When Matt Bevin says we have to do away with the death tax, and Tennessee has a 0% income tax rate. Okay, what they're talking about is class warfare against the middle class. That's what they're talking about.
It's a plan to rebuild Kentucky, to get it working for the people again, to keep government honest, to create and attract jobs, lots and lots of high-quality jobs. You see, Hal Heiner knows jobs. He knows good jobs create opportunity, build community.
Sales taxes are regressive. Flat taxes end up being regressive in practice. We had a couple of Republicans talking about implementing right to bust unions. That's what I call it. That's a code word. Right to work is a code word. What they're really talking about is class warfare against working people. In states where unions are strong, the middle class is strong. Their economies do better. We need more unions and stronger unions, not union busting. So I'm running against the whole Republican Party. Mr. Scott mentioned ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. As governor, if I find out that a bill that's been passed by one of the houses or both houses of the General Assembly were written by ALEC, I will look at that legislation very, very suspiciously.
Transform families. His father was an engineer, his mother a nurse. Yet with 6 Heiner kids, they'd have to help to pay for their own school. Hal did, working as a janitor, a dishwasher, a short order cook, using his engineering degree to reclaim coal mines in the East and design water and sewer plants in the West.
Defending the middle class. Comprehensive tax reform is essential. Our current structure depends heavily on personal income taxes to provide revenue for the projects and initiatives that our society has judged are worth pursuing. The middle class. And the best way to improve the prospects for real estate in Kentucky is to grow the middle class, not launch a class war against us.
In the prohibition of marijuana. So let's talk about the issues. Ultimately, when you decide who should run the state of Kentucky, you look at whose policies would be best, whose policies would best benefit Kentucky. So you have to see what their policies are. If they're just running a cult of personality, you just like the person, but you don't know anything about their issues or what they're actually going to do, they could get in there and be just totally make a mess of the budget of Kentucky. So here's what the Republican candidates said. They're all, in favor of right to work.
You already addressed the tax reform issue, so thank you for answering that question. As governor, if elected, what's one thing you will do to improve real estate in Kentucky?
I'll defend the middle class.
And as Hal built his own large family, he worked building airports, roads, neighborhoods. And when folks said it was impossible, Hal Heiner turned an old cow pasture into a thriving new business park, drawing new businesses from around the world, attracting and keeping 4,000 jobs in Kentucky. 4,000.
So Jeff Young was the last speaker. James Comer's stride is better than Hal Heiner's stride.
Thank you very much.
The Republicans all agree on many things. They agree on school choice, though the specifics of that remain to be seen, whether it's vouchers or charter schools and how those vouchers and charter schools will be distributed. They also agree on casinos, so-called right to work.
We need to look at labor laws. It relates to things from prevailing wage to right to work legislation. No question about that. We've got to look at education and the fact that we're one of only 8 states that does not allow school choice. Unacceptable.
Business, I'm a big proponent of right to work. And I will also fight to protect the mortgage interest rate deduction. Those are 2 issues that I know are very important to everyone in here.
Even the fact that we still have the death tax like we do in this state is insane.
Jobs to help support Kentucky families, to help change Kentucky lives. It's all about jobs. Hal knows that. It's why he fought for transparency, to clean up government, and to cut wasteful spending and taxes. Do all things to build hope and opportunity for all families. That's Hal Heiner's personal mission. It's why
I have no idea what, I think Jeff Young is an unknown. He ran for a couple races, so I guess in his region people probably know who he is, but he's an unknown. So when you look at these numbers, I mean, he's actually got a 5% very favorable rating, which is higher than Ralph Nader ever got, nationally. But 5% love him. They think he's wonderful. They think he's great. Now, Jeff Young has a 17% somewhat favorable, so somewhat in the right direction, but it's still positive favorable rating. So 22% of Kentuckians really like Jeff Young. But look at these unfavorable ratings. He's hated by 7%. He's hated. They hate him. 7% that he actually has more haters than lovers. So while 52% of the public do not know who Jeff Young is, and so he's virtually unknown. He's anonymous. The people who do love him, he's very polarizing. Either you really love him or you really hate him. And 7% hate him. And 19% are unfavorable towards him. So that's a 26% dislike. 26% dislike versus 22% who like.